Shalom everybody, Moadim Simchat, and welcome to the Israel Brief with me, Ronnie Marks, where you guys join me every Monday to Thursday for a look at those top headlines making news in Israel. As always, Lay of the Land is the platform that brings you the Israel Brief. And just a reminder that this week we will only have briefs Monday to Wednesday instead of Thursday because it is the end of Sukkot. And then we go into the Jewish holidays of Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah. And of course, a lot of trepidation around Simchat Torah this year as we are closing in on nearly 400 days since the last Simchat Torah. Today is 382 days, which means that 101 hostages remain in captivity now for 382 days. Now, Simchat Torah, as you recall, was the day in the Hebrew calendar that Hamas committed their atrocities against the people of Israel and many foreign nationals. And as we prepare to mark the day, Simchat Torah is a very special day in the Jewish calendar. It is the day we celebrate receiving the Torah, the 5 books of Moses on which our very ethos is based on. And it is usually a day that is marked with celebration and singing and dancing around the synagogue with the Torah scrolls. But this year, of course, will be different because it's the first year anniversary since the attack, according to the Hebrew calendar. And how exactly will we mark it? One thing that has been confirmed is Israel will have a second day of mourning following Simchat Torah this year to mark the Hebrew calendar date of the 7th of October. So let's get into those top stories. And I have to give kudos to the Israel Defense Forces because they have really been great, especially as the war progresses, in being very, very transparent with the intelligence that they find and sharing it with the global media. Well, last night was no different as Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, he is the chief spokesperson for the IDF, exposed Hezbollah's dirty money. So what did this entail? This entailed some graphics supplied by the IDF, which showed that Hezbollah's financial headquarters were situated, shock, horror, underneath a hospital. Yes, underneath the Al-Sahel hospital in the Dahia region of Beirut. This is southern Beirut, believed to be the Hezbollah stronghold, is a bunker underneath the hospital compound. Now, this bunker consists of about 5 different rooms with 2 different entry points that Hezbollah officials use to get into those financial headquarters, and contains about 400 million pounds worth of cash and gold. I mean, this is money that the people of Lebanon could put to good use. And this is something that Rear Admiral Hagari addressed when he, in his broadcast last night. He said that this is money that could be used by Lebanon to build the state, and he appealed to institutions, to the government, to authorities not to allow Hezbollah to use this money to launch attacks against Israel. As we know, Hezbollah launched attacks against the state of Israel on the 8th of October last year, following the Hamas atrocities, firing thousands of rockets, which they still continue to fire. In fact, this morning we were woken up rather rudely by a rocket landing just slightly northeast of where I live in Modi'in, in the West Bank, and a rocket landed in an open field, and the bang was absolutely shattering. We could hear it for quite a wide circumference, and this was followed shortly by another major barrage towards the center and the north of Israel. And what people need to understand is that these rockets and drone attacks don't stop, and the money that finances all of this is sitting in this compound. Hagari went on to say that the Israel Air Force is monitoring this compound but won't strike the hospital. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel this morning. He is currently, as we are recording this, meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu. The Secretary of State is here to try and broker an end to the war in Gaza, looking for a solution, especially now following the death of Yehia Sinwar, eliminated by our forces on Thursday of last week, the first day of Sukkot, looking for a way to advance some kind of deal that brings our hostages home to their families. As I mentioned earlier, we still have 101 hostages that remain in Hamas captivity. About 50 or so are believed to still be alive, maybe more than that, and we want them home as soon as possible. Time is of the essence. He will meet with Defense Minister Gallant as well and various other Israeli officials, and then will depart for Qatar and Jordan as well. Now, while we're on the subject of hostage deals, with Sinwar out of the picture, it means that our main obstacle to reaching an agreement has been removed. Sinwar would say no to every single agreement that was put forward. So for all the people out there on campuses and in the streets of cities around the world and in Hollywood saying ceasefire now, ceasefire now, ceasefire now, the main obstacle to that is Sinwar, and he has been removed. But what will Hamas do? This is the question on everybody's lips. So what we do know is that the Egyptians, and this is according to the publication Axios, have put forward what they call a small ceasefire proposal, the details of which we don't know. But Hebrew media has reported that Israel has put forward two ceasefire agreements, one a small version and the other more broad. Again, we don't know the details, but we do know that since the news of Sinwar's death broke, Ronen Bar, the head of the Shin Bet, was dispatched to Egypt to try and start the negotiation cycle again, because it is now 382 days. We want to get them home now. And finally, the state of Israel mourns and salutes one of its finest fallen sons. It was reported over the weekend that Colonel Duxa, a tank commander, in fact, he was the commander of the tank unit in Gaza, fell in battle. And he was a Druze officer, just showing you the love and the blood covenant between the Druze and the Jews in this country, who serve, who pay the ultimate price for the freedom and for the democracy that all our communities so greatly love and are dedicated to. Well, Colonel Duxa was a dedicated officer, one much beloved by so many around the country, and all you have to do is see the amount of tributes that have come in from Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Gantz, National Unity Chairperson and former Defense Minister Benny Gantz. I think I said Defense Minister Gantz, I meant Defense Minister Gallant. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, Rear Admiral Hagari, and so many who served in the highest ranks of the IDF. And what I also found very, very moving were the tributes coming in from people like Major Andrew Fox and others who, in their missions to Israel, in their fact-finding missions in Gaza, had spoken to Colonel Duxa on numerous occasions and admired that he was a soldier's soldier. And may his memory be eternally blessed. Our love and our prayers are with his wife and his children and the rest of his family, and with the community that he belonged to. Thousands of Israelis, Jewish, Druze and Arabs all attended his funeral yesterday. May he rest in peace. May his memory be a blessing. So now we are on to the audience question of the day. Now, before we get to that, I have a request from Bernice in Cape Town for a shout out. So Bernice in Cape Town, I'm giving you a shout out and thanks for being an avid Israel Brief supporter. But today's question comes from Honey Creel, and Honey wants to know, she says, when the IDF warned before an attack, do terrorists not hide between the civilians and try to flee? Excellent question, Honey. Of course, we always run that risk that terrorists will try to flee amongst the civilians that are being moved for their own safety or moved along the humanitarian corridor. But our main concern is the safety of those civilians. And as we always say, Israel will always get our guys. If you want to attack Israel or plan attacks against Israel, we will get you. So even though they might hide behind their civilians, we will always get them. So, Honey, I hope this is the answer that you are looking for. And a reminder to anybody wanting to pose a question, please put them in the comment section below or be in touch with us via our website. I just heard a bang a short while ago. I'm hoping that we haven't had another situation of a rocket landing in an empty space. But that's it for me for today. Guys, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. You know I adore every single one of you, which makes me want to remind you to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel's site, our YouTube channel is at The Israel Brief. We're on Instagram at my page, Rolene_Marks, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, and on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, mwah. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.